So, welcome. Thank you for coming. And the first question I have is for Dr. Reddy. And Dr. Reddy has been working in this sector where there is very little room for error. We are dealing with very small children and infants, and every life counts. So, how does an idea in this sector work? And what are the problems that you face in this sector? And is there any idea that you have that can really help this sector?
Good evening, everybody. I know we are the last panel of the evening. I will try to be brief and try to explain what we are doing. Before I do that, we need to understand the healthcare scenario of our country. So when you look at it, India is a country of numbers. We have 1.27 billion people to be taken care of. We constitute 17.5% of global population. That is to say, every almost 5th or 6% on the planet is from India. And India is a country where the GDP expenditure on health is less than 1%. So when you compare with the US GDP, which is 17.5%, and then all developed countries spend double-digit GDP on healthcare. So given that, we have very poor public health infrastructure. Even today, as you know, we are battling with sanitation and safe drinking water issues in most of the country populations. And then primary care, most of the public health facilities, PHCs are not equipped well, not equipped in terms of human resources. There's a lot more to do in that segment. Then coming to the urban and rural divide, 70% of India's population is in the urban settings and 80% of the doctors are in the 80% of the doctors are in the urban setting and 70% of the population is in the rural setting. That's a mismatch. So if you want to have care in the rural region, which is where our population is, we don't have doctors. And then genetically, we as Indians have prone to certain non-communicable diseases, lifestyle diseases otherwise called. We are being called vulgarly as the diabetic capital of the world and then the hypertensive capital of the world. And then we have a lot more load of renal disease and renal failure as a burden in the country. Given all this, 70% of our healthcare expenditure is out of pocket. The insurance reach is not there. Even to date, it is in the single-digit format. So this has to change. This is the background wherein if you have to do something for health in our country, we need to look at this as a perspective. NICE Foundation. What is NICE? NICE is an acronym, Neonatal Intensive Care and Emergencies. I'm a neonatologist, so my perspective was how to save a newborn life. That was what it was. Way back in 15 years back, I had a plan of creating an institute for newborn in our country. As you know, every 5th baby born on the planet is born in India. And then every 5th baby dying on the planet also is from India. Given that, we never had an institute for newborn in the country. We have institutes for kidney, heart, liver, cancer, everything, but we never had an institute for newborn. With this idea, I came out with a proposal wherein how can we deliver world-class care to a problem newborn at Indian cost, where an Indian parent can afford the care. In the Western world, if you have a problem newborn, it's called a $1 million baby. That much is the expenditure you need to spend to get the baby out of the hospital. So how do we address that issue? With this proposal, I went to meet the father of our organization, the chairman of our organization, Dr. Reddy. He was the chairman of Reddy Laboratories. I came to him, went to him and told him about the need of creating an institution. And then within 3 minutes of my interacting with him, he came forward and then said, Dr. Padmanabh, I will do everything possible to see that this institution comes up. With that support and vision of his, we created the largest neonatal institute in the country, 80-bedded NICU in Hyderabad, which is on a public-private partnership model with the state government of Andhra Pradesh, wherein the capex burden and the profit is not in the bill. So to say, we are able to reduce the cost of care by 50 to 60% of the market, with quality comparable to international standards. When we reviewed certain cases, similar cases from the Western world institutes, our cost of care is 1/100 the cost of the Western world. That is what we have achieved out of the Institute of Newborn, which is in Hyderabad. Then coming to the models, NICE is an organization, we create templates. India is a country of numbers, as has been told. Our ex-finance minister, Chidambaram, one time in a conference mentioned, we put our money into proven failure models. So most of the healthcare models in our country are proven failure models. So we wanted to create templates wherein come out with an idea, implement it in the field, prove the point and ask the stakeholders to take it further. So in that context, we have an urban model of creating the Institute for Newborn. Then we have the rural and the tribal population where we do reproductive and child health as a priority, and then the primary care. The regions we work are the tribal regions, primitive tribal regions. We are in Araku Padero in Visakhapatnam. We are in Mayurnagar, Amravati and Achanpet, Kolhapur regions, where we do complete antenatal care and then perinatal care and newborn care. We do field level research. We have recently concluded a randomized control trial wherein we did the service arm and then the London school did the research arm. And then the assumption was by creating health awareness to an expectant woman, tracking the at-risk mother to the nearest healthcare facility, we said that we will be able to reduce the neonatal mortality by 25% in 5 years. We achieved this within 3 years, and then looking at that model, now the funding agency has asked us to do in all the 464 villages, which we are doing in Mayurnagar district now. This is an institute which is in Hyderabad, wherein what is available in UK, US, university hospitals, technology is available. We do total parental nutrition, we do high frequency oscillatory ventilation, we do conventional ventilation. What is required for a critical newborn, a 600 grammer, what it needs is being provided in this institute. And then this is the model, the rural antenatal care which is going on, wherein 2 times in a month a fixed service happens in the village, and then antenatal care is provided, and women who are at risk are tracked and then moved to safer place of delivery. One important aspect which we do is the participatory discussion group activity with the tribals. You can see the Lambadas and the Chanchus, wherein we improve their knowledge of healthcare, antenatal care, and then what is to be taken care during antenatal period in terms of nutrition, general health, danger signs, and when to move to the healthcare facility. This is another model called the CHIP model. This is a model where we have started 2.5 years back with the CSR support of Dr. Reddy's laboratories. Now we are doing around 200 villages in 3 different regions. We are in Srikakulam, Vijayanagaram and Nalgonda districts, wherein doorstep healthcare is provided to everybody in the village. Means to say, every alternate day, a midwife runs the clinic in the village, examines all the expectant women, takes care of the children, and then elderly. In most of the villages, we see that a lot of older age population which has diabetes and hypertension who are not being taken care. Through this model, we are delivering doorstep care in the villages. This is another model where we do the school children's healthcare program. As Ajit was mentioning, we have a model called School Child Healthcare Program, wherein a government school accessing child, we do everything from common cold to cardiac surgery at no cost to the family. This is costing us around 1 cent a day. We are doing this for the last 11 years, and then incidentally, this has been the model which has been taken up as a model for the country in the 11th 5-year plan. So that was the intention of doing templates which will be useful in our country. As you all know, the poorest of the poor access the government schools in our country. Education is a birthright, so is midday meal. We said health should also become the birthright. That is where the tripod of support for these poor children. Then we talk about the scalability. Every model of our model, we see that it is a replicable model. India is a country of numbers. India is a country of different regions and expectations. So our models are all the time replicable with a little bit of tweaking. And then we also come out with a plan wherein over a period of time we make the project sustainable. We make the community participate in contributing to the program, and then the civil society also supporting to it, and then eventually government pitches in and then takes the program further. Then all our programs are planned in a manner to be implemented in minimum time. At the same time, it should be a cost-effective program, and then it should also reflect in terms of impact as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy. I'm very happy that we've had you on stage and the kind of work you're doing. There was one more organization called Save the Mother, who is doing something very similar in the UP, in the Uttar Pradesh state, and we hope that there'll be some sort of collaboration where there's some sort of knowledge transfer, because you've already done it, and so both organizations will benefit from it. That said, mental health is another issue that is not often talked about, and we've had, since we are in a school, we have a lot of kids that sometimes we identify that require some sort of medical help or intervention regarding their mental health. And parents, for some reason, don't go to the doctor because, and they let the kids suffer because there's a lot of stigma associated with the whole issue of mental health. And we have Nitya here, who is currently working on the problem. So Nitya, does a mixture of technology and medicine help this issue, or is there any idea that you have that can change the scenario?
Yeah. Thank you, Ajit, and thank you to everyone at KS for having me here and allowing me to chat with you today. So I am a researcher at the Behavioral Medicine Lab at Stanford, and I'm going to talk to you for just a few minutes about some of the research that we've been doing here in India over the last 2 years. So I would like to start by just paying tribute to all the different people that have enabled this project to be possible. We have a lot of researchers across the states, across India, NGOs within India, at Nimhan, groups in Goa called Sangin, who have all really gathered together to see, can we do some research around how to make mental health care more accessible in India? So this is a look at some of the people who have contributed to this project and who I'm going to try and be an adequate microphone for today. So why did we start this project? The WHO has said that 1 in 4 people in the world will struggle with some form of mental distress in their lifetime. So we know this is an issue globally, but in my opinion, I don't think there's a lot of research being done in India to address this issue. And we know there's an issue of, I don't know how to go back, of treatment gap. So if you take a look at these numbers, you can see that in the US, we have about 550,000 mental health care professionals. And for a population 4 times that size in India, we have 5,000. So this bears the question, how do we address this treatment gap, and what types of innovations might be necessary to take on this kind of challenge? And in my opinion, I think research is necessary to really begin to answer these questions. So technology might be a way to more innovatively try and tackle this. So we know that mobile access is rising around the world, and there might be new ways to deliver treatment if we can figure out some of the feasibility issues. This is just a quick look at some of the groups in India trying to tackle this issue. So you have platforms like eSight Clinic that's just trying to connect licensed professionals to people in need of mental health care. You have groups like You're Those, which is basically saying, hey, everyone could benefit from mental health care, and a lot of people in the community could be your Those, your friend. So you can actually go to this platform right now and chat with someone live. There's Healthy Minds doing similar things, but the biggest issue for a lot of these startups is raising funding and demonstrating there's a need and there's a market. And this is also White Swan Foundation. It's a group trying to tackle the issue of mental health and the stigma around mental health using knowledge and awareness. But again, the issue is, can we point at something and say, hey, here's a clear need for more services in this area, and here's a clear pilot trial demonstrating this could be a feasible route to do it. So we've partnered with the Birla Institute of Technology and Science over the last year and a half to really begin to explore how might we do 2 things. So I'm really grateful to BIDS and to Reddy, who was actually the connect to BIDS 2 years back. So one, how do we change culture around mental health? Why is there so much stigma? Is it coming from individuals? Is it coming from caretakers? Is it coming from the community? And two, how might we begin to connect individuals in need of care to services they find more comfortable, more accessible? So on the first level of community awareness and tackling stigma and understanding mental health perception, we had to first raise awareness. So at the BITS campus in Hyderabad, we gave lectures to students in classrooms, in the mess, in hostels, literally anywhere on campus they would let me talk to students and just engage them in a discussion about what does mental health mean to you? You know, how do you take care of your physical health? And on the flip side, how do you take care of your mental health? Did you know that the word health is in there in mental health? Then two is about empowering the community to take hold of this conversation around mental health care on their own. So I think a lot of people in this room have been speaking about sustainability and not assuming you have some kind of offering to give, but empowering them to both identify the problem and tackle it themselves. So we created student teams across all of these campuses to take ownership over the conversation around mental health, to ask Mime Club to put on a play about mental health, to wear t-shirts like this that say, I'm a Manamali mental health ambassador. If you have questions, come talk to me. Have peers serve as liaisons to help connect individuals who might need care to the on-campus counselor. We also had events around each campus. So this is some photos from some of our student-led events on the 4 BITS campuses in Goa, Dubai, Hyderabad, and Palani campus. So you can see that students hosted a run to bring awareness for the connection between your mental and your physical health. There's students who held a sticker campaign in which they asked everyone on campus to wear a sticker and write, what makes you anxious? To really bring about, in a fun way, attention to the fact that we all go through different levels of stress. It's normal. And you have different online challenges. We tried to attack students wherever they might be. So on social media, how do we get students conversing about mental health? We have a campaign being rolled out right now where some of the prominent members of the BITS alumni community have lent their faces for a campaign about mental health awareness and help seeking and how to lend a hand to a peer. Basically, we've just been piloting different ways of sparking communication. So that's tactic number one. Part number two is about how we might offer services to students in a way that is more accessible to them. So this is an example of the online and mobile-based program that our team has developed and has been delivered to students at the BITS Palani schools over the last year and a half. So the way this would work is everyone on campus would take an online anonymous survey in which they would answer questions about their mental health and wellness. And based on the way they answer these questions, we would deem those eligible to access an online program to help them deal with their mental distress, specifically their anxiety. If they said yes, they would connect to this online program and they would get access to it for 3 months. And in addition, they would have access to an online mental health counselor enable more efficient delivery of mental health care. So for example, we could improve the reach. Students who are in areas that might not have the ability to have a counselor come to campus, let's say in a remote region, could connect with someone online. We could improve the scalability. So once you figure out the mechanisms of delivering this could be replicated quite easily. It could potentially be more cost effective by allowing those limited resources, those 5,000 mental health care professionals, to limit their time and interaction with students to that human touch component, and instead programatizing the content that should be standardized for everyone, you allow them to use their time more efficiently. And lastly, I'd like to say there's one point that I'm going to call labor efficiency. So, in addition to leveraging those trained specialists to optimize their time, I think there's even opportunity to create jobs for people who are maybe unlicensed but practicing mental health care clinicians in India. To support this type of work, to be an online counselor, there might be different criteria. And these rules and protocols will be determined country by country, but I think stepping back, we just want to say, might there be a different way to think about mental health care service delivery in different contexts? And that being said, I will put one caveat in there. I don't think anyone should think we should go from traditional one-to-one mental health care to 100% technology, get rid of humans. I think you'd be setting yourself up for failure. Everything should start with a proper needs assessment, with understanding what the community wants and understanding what's possible in given the infrastructure and resources available in a place like a university, or if you want to extend it into an early workforce or into a smaller community. I think without that piece, you're going to set yourself up to deliver one intervention but not the next. I think is what most people have touched upon in this room, and a lesson I've learned the last 2 years doing this project has been it's really easy to implement something once, but to design to scale sustainably, you really have to work with the community. So that's why a lot of our work moving forward is going to be about transitioning work to local researchers here, engaging more colleges here, building the same platform locally, and seeing if there might be a way to expand this type of work to other universities. So thank you.
Thanks, Nitya. I'm sure the anonymity of it will make sure that it reaches out to a much wider audience, because the stigma is much lesser that way. And finally, we have Govinda from LED Safari. So Govinda, can you briefly tell us about what that contraption is, and tell us more about your ideas and where do you think they'll make the most impact?
Thank you, Ajit. So my organization is based in Switzerland. So I'm exactly coming from DD session. I flew day 4 yesterday here from Switzerland to meet you guys. And I can say it's an excellent atmosphere. I would like to thank Shravya here, because it was really a last moment I connected with her that we are starting operations in India in education field, and she was the right contact. She said, okay, why don't you come here? Let me start with one question to everyone. How many of you seen a kerosene lamp? Could you raise your hand? Kerosene lamp. Okay, almost 90% of the crowd. And I could imagine coming from India, it's around 60 to 70% people use it also kerosene. There's one reason, okay, there's no electricity. There's another reason, there's no proper access to electricity. We have grid, but we cannot use it. So this I identified during my BITS period. So I'm from Bispalani Goa campus. Traveling across rural India, I realized that even if a person has a solar lamp, so the government and many tons of organizations working into lightification, the problem happens that you sell a product to them, and when a product breaks down, people cannot repair it. So let's take an example. A village person buys a lamp for 2,000 rupees. He uses for like 3 months, 4 months. A solar lamp is quite mobile. You take in your hand and move. So obviously it will go through physical damage. Chances are very high. And when it goes through physical damage, it has to go to the nearest town. When he goes to the nearest town, he doesn't understand what's wrong with the lamp. Even if wire is broken, the guy will charge him, okay, you have to give me 500 rupees. And the village guy will say, okay, no, I'll go back to kerosene. So this has been the approach, and what I identified, that a lot of this development process happens in developing countries, India or a country like Africa, that the people sell them kind of financial freedom. Okay, I go for a low-cost product, it's nice. But what happens, there's no technological freedom. That is independence I'm talking about. So why not create a system where everyone knows how to build a solar lamp? This will solve two purposes. First, he will understand that why solar is good, because it's a pretty cool thing to have in your hand. It's renewable, sustainable. He saves money. There's no health problem for So there are tons of things come. So what we did that we simplified whole solar lamp making process using very few components. It's like there are 6 components in that kit. We have small solar panel, battery, these LED switches. And just to give you a number, in 1 meter cubic box, you can put thousands of them. So imagine shipping these kits to the remotest village, last mile distribution, a big headache for our generation. This can be solved with this. And what we developed, that we have to train the village people to do that. Now we have evolved our strategy. We teach young students. So we're creating this young future generation who are more energy conscious. Imagine a student in Nizamabad or a remote village in Telangana. He makes his own solar lamp with his own hand, own creativity, using recycled materials, and he uses them. Let me give an example. This is one lamp made in Kankar. That's a tribal belt in Chhattisgarh. And student's name is Naveen, 12-year-old. And look at the materials he has used. He used a soap box, a metal wire that's garden or you use to hang clothes, straw to prevent it from rust, a bottle top to make the red light. And you know what's interesting thing is about this lamp, not only the structure he thought of himself, but he scratched the bottle to make the light more diffusive so that it doesn't hurt the eyes. Imagine like a 12, 13-year-old kid is thinking like this. So now, coming from Switzerland, we are doing operations in Africa. We're just starting in India. We run a lot of programs in secondary schools in Switzerland. Because according to this lamp making process, you do 3 things: social, sustainability, and innovation. Social is all about understanding the need of light. We do trainings to students. They understand that teaching is important. Sustainability. We all heard about this COP21 Paris thing. India, yeah, we are suffering from that. That we have to go through renewable. We have to create sustainable society. If we don't see now, next 10, 20 years, it will come on us. So we are creating this lab where students learn about all this stuff. Innovation, where a student creates his own lab and he go through design process, thinking ability, and that's really catchy. So I believe that if we are preparing our young generation to tackle the future thing, sustainability is an issue, we have to do it now. Let's take an example of India. 1.2 billion, it's going to 1.21 thing. We had a number of 10 billion entrepreneurs. I claim we need 1.2 million solar entrepreneurs to feed our population with clean energy. From where we can get 1.2 million people? We have to train them from young age. We run generally two kind of programs. One is educational, that's in secondary schools. We teach them how to do that. We do teachers training. So teachers are the best people to implement this in their school. So we teach them what to do. We have developed a lot of pedagogical material across it. We are developing apps, we are developing e-learning material, animation, so that our teaching is more not language-centric, but it's animation-based, anyone can learn it to see that. And we do a lot of skill development, where a local person in village creating his own lab, which is catered to the society. So even this, we give them the tool, and then people adapt for their need. It's not a strict one. And that's how you can create a knowledge economy, where people doing themselves, they're tackling their own tasks. And I already found like in DD, they're excellent organization, they're already doing great job, like Agastya. Like I love their program. Look at their store is always full. Like I've been watching them since morning. And something similar we do, but more on the sustainability experiments. The more they are, creating entrepreneurs, excellent program. Nirman, doing great job on that. So I feel that in this way, if I'm able to partner with organizations who are already working at grassroots level, it will be much more impactful for us. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Govinda. I'm sure a lot of kids will understand that power is a resource that they need to treat with respect. And that's it. That's the end of our panel discussion. And this is our first DD, and I'm sure a lot of ideas that have sprung from this DD in the next couple of DDs will meet fruition, and we will actually see a product coming out and or products being scaled up. That said, I'll open the floor for questions, or should I say bye-bye? Okay, I'll actually open the floor for questions. So, are there any questions?
Can I announce something?
Yeah.
Sorry. Just a quick one. So tomorrow we have lamp making workshop in Presidency School. And you all are welcome to join us. Please sign up with us so that you see exactly what we do. And then we can see how we can collaborate to spread this solar making process in India. Thank you. It will happen tomorrow 9:30. You can sign up with us. We have a stall behind. And yeah, let's do some lamp making tomorrow.
So, any questions? Okay, there's a question at the back.
Yeah, this question is actually mental health care. So, how would you find anyone that is suffering from not getting online? Because remote villages are there where people wouldn't be online and taking this service, but they are affecting more because of poor, low income. So, how would you find them that they are suffering with this, and how would you want to help them?
His question was, how do you tackle problems of mental health in villages where there is no access to internet? Am I right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously the zenith we hope to move to. I will say the model we've taken and the approach we've taken is find a community that has resources and willingness to figure out how to scale something like this up and make it effective. But if you want to scale into areas where there's not currently internet connectivity, you could think about old-fashioned paper documents for people in the community. I think the guided self-help model that we've employed can still be beneficial in that context, in which you identify potential caretakers, or what they might call lay health workers in the community, train them on how to identify and support mental health care, and enable them to work with those in need in the community. That obviously takes a different set of resources and a different set of manpower. You need someone to go into the community, train the leaders there, set up systems to monitor them and give them supervision and make them feel supported. And that's a lot of work. That kind of work is being done by our partners at Sangit. So if you go to sangit.com, it's an NGO based out of Goa that, in my opinion, does the best community mental health work in the world, in my opinion. They've been doing this kind of work for the last 20 years. The guy that founded them, a guy named Vikram Patel, just was named, Time's most 100 influential people. And my interest in partnering with them is to see how we leverage the models that they've made effective in India and see where there might be scope for technology to play a role in increasing the reach of the work they do. Thank you for your question.
I hope that answered your question, and with this we'll end this. Discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please accept a small gift On our behalf, thank you very much for the panel. Thank you, Ajit.